On today's episode of Secrets to Scaling Your E-commerce Brand, I had a chance to chat with the one and only Phil Massiolo. We had such a great conversation. He has been in the e-commerce game since 1998. We talked about, what happened back then. We talked about how one of the companies that he was a part of absolutely exploded using PR. We talked about his very favorite marketing tactic. And let me tell you, it is not Facebook ads. It's not Google ads. It's not influencer marketing. You are going to have to listen to this episode to find out what it is. Hey guys, Jordan West back with another episode of Secrets to Scaling Your E-commerce Brand. I am really looking forward to this interview today, guys. I got to be on Phil's show a little while ago as well. And today I feel like I'm talking to like the OG, like the Godfather of e-commerce. It's like, like you think of guys like Ezra Firestone. Nah, that was like late 2000s that he got started. Phil was in the game before the .com crash, so this is going to just be an awesome conversation. Loved being on his show yesterday. He let me have a lot of free reign with just talking about a bunch of different things. And I had a great time. I can't speak for Phil, but I'll tell you, I had a great time on it. So without further ado, Phil, I'm going to have to get you to say your last name here because I don't have it down here and I know I'm going to say it wrong. So for people who don't know anything about you or what you do, tell us your full name and what you do.
Yeah, Phil Massiello. I'm the founder of CrunchGrowth, revenue acceleration agency. Yeah, it was a fun time on the show. I love the energy. I love your enthusiasm for it. I don't know if I'm the OG, but I do go back to 1998 when I built my first site. We had retail stores. We were in the food business. We had retail stores. And, we thought, hey, there's something to this whole internet. And we started to sell food, meals
Yeah.
online. And
Yeah.
again, before Google, before advertising. So it was really your URL that really made the difference. And we tried, we did it. We scaled up to about $1 million in a year. The problem became that really the distribution network, the UPSs, FedExes and all that, it was not built out for that.
No, they weren't
But
set up for e-com yet, right? Like
no,
there wasn't like Amazon or any of these. I don't even think Amazon was even a company then, was it?
yeah, Amazon was out there selling books, and books
Were
and
they in the late
CDs.
in the late 90s? They were already around?
Yeah, 96, I think they started.
Okay. Okay.
And, but that's a whole funny story. I can tell you that, about Amazon. But the funny thing was that, yeah, no, we were trying to look at how Omaha Steaks and Kansas City Steaks and all these guys were selling, through direct to consumer, through catalogs and things. So we thought, okay, we'll figure out how to do meals similar to this,
Yeah.
frozen or extended life fresh. And so, we made a little bit of headway. We got a lot of press because nobody else was doing it at the time, which attracted an acquisition from a supermarket chain who bought us. And that became the foundation for sort of their e-commerce.
Cool.
Problem that occurred was I had to go and do my indentured servitude for a couple of years with them, which I was not keen on. I'm not really good working for big companies and with all that red tape. So
Yeah,
after a couple of
can
years,
I gotta just step in there for 1 second, guys, because I know a lot of you have, entertained exits over the years. Just remember that a lot of times that is probably the number one thing, especially in the agency world. About 30 to 40% of the people who listen to this are agency or SaaS people. And that is almost a requirement every single time that you get purchased. So just know that that's there. Know how ridiculously difficult it may be, especially if you are a purebred entrepreneur and you now need to actually work for someone. And it is not you no longer have a seat at the table. This just happened to one of my buddies who sold his agency. You don't have a seat at the table anymore. They just do what they're going to do. You're an employee. So
yeah, and it's not as lean anymore. You're not nimble and lean anymore. It's very structured and meetings, and we have to do this and we have to meet about this and we have to meet to have the meeting. And it
yeah,
not where my head works. So I wasn't good at it. And I'll be the first one to admit it. I drove them all crazy. But then I had the opportunity to found Raw Beauty with Carol All. And she was a model, and it was a raw skincare line, very natural. And we
cool.
launched it on the shopping channel. We were on Amazon. We were actually one of the first brands on Amazon outside of books, CDs, movies, and all that when they first opened up the platform and the marketplace for other types of products. And which was, was great. And the thing that was interesting was that we were able to keep our advertising costs and marketing costs down because the scaling was really coming from the visibility we were getting on the shopping channels. We looked at it as we were we were selling them product, we were selling product on air, so it was like a
Yeah,
retail wholesale relationship. But what we got in return was the placement of visibility across a national and international, because we were in Canada as well,
totally.
international spectrum. And so it got a lot of visibility, which enabled us a couple of years later to move into retail. We were in Shoppers Drug Mart in Canada. We were in Ulta Beauty, Sephora, places like this. So,
Wow.
I looked at that
Those
and
are a
I
lot
thought,
of doors, just so everybody knows.
yeah, a
I
lot of
heard the Ulta Beauty CEO talk this year at Shop Talk, and I was like, I did not realize how massive I think they're much bigger than Sephora, even, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm not a big fan of brick and mortar retail because, I hear a lot of times entrepreneurs and come up with a product and they want to try and push it into retail. But if you're an unknown in retail and you're going in there, it's expensive because I don't know if you've ever dealt with retail, but you got to pay
Oh
slotting
yeah.
fees, you've got to pay rebates, discounts, accruals. So I like to build the marketing and the advertising, the awareness off of retail and then let them pull it in. Because once they want you, then you have leverage to negotiate away all those things. You can negotiate
Totally.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the birth of direct to consumer, right? Is that like we can do that now, right? We
Yeah.
can build a brand that's off of all of these channels and then have them clamoring for your products, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the absolute beauty.
Exactly. So I'm a firm believer in going off platform. And we did that for a bunch of years and we sold it to a division of Johnson and Johnson called Medicia, which was existed in New Jersey. But we also had the idea of doing razors just before all the other stuff happened. And we wound up getting a deal with the second largest razor company in the world to make a razor for us. And, and this goes directly to scaling and trying to figure it out because I would say for the first year, we were struggling running ads. We were doing things on social media. It was mostly Facebook then, a little bit of Instagram.
What year was this, Phil?
That was 2011 we launched.
Okay.
And
Okay.
around 2012, we were thinking, man, these ads aren't working. Nothing is resonating. We were trying different messages. So I'm a baseball fan. And there was a pitcher, guy named Brian Wilson, who pitched for the San Francisco Giants. Great pitcher. And he had this epic beard. I mean, epic. And
Yeah.
he had gotten Tommy John surgery and they traded him to the Dodgers. So I read in the paper that morning that it was the first time he was going to pitch in a year and they were making a big deal about it. So I had this idea, would offer him $1 million to shave with our razor. And all we really wanted was for his people to get back to us and say, we'll discuss it with Brian. That's all we wanted.
Yeah.
So we pitched, we did the pitch and we got back an email saying, we'll discuss it with Brian. So we forwarded that email to our PR firm and we said, guys, you got to do something with this because, we're in discussions. All you have to say is we're in discussions with Brian Wilson to shave his beard for $1 million. Well, it caught fire because people were outraged that we would offer a guy who's already making multi-million dollars, $1 million to shave with our razor. So we started getting on Facebook. We were getting pictures of everybody and their mother with pictures of their body part. I'll shave this for 10,000. I'll shave this for 5,000. I'll shave my head for 25. I mean, it was hysterical. And then we had the other side where people were just screaming at us. They were so pissed off. But you could still go out and Google it today. You could Google Phil Massiello, Brian Wilson, 800 razors, and you'll see it. It was hysterical. So we were all over. And then Japan, France, they were calling us up and interviewing us. How could we possibly offer a guy $1 million?
Yeah.
So it lasted about a week to 10 days, right? But what happened was all of a sudden we were all over the place. So we got free press out of it and we got order. I can't remember the exact number, but it was significant. It was about a week later, things started to die down. We're trying to fulfill the orders. We're trying to get everything organized. And TMZ catches Brian Wilson coming out of a gym in Los Angeles. So they say to him, "Are you going to take the $1 million and shave your beard?" He says, I'm not shaving anything for any amount of money." Well, it starts up again because now people are pissed at us that a guy wouldn't take $1 million to shave his beard. And it started up again. So it was like 2.5 to 3 weeks worth of really good PR. We didn't do anything wrong, right? We didn't do anything harmful. We were in
No, and you
discussions.
told the
We offered
truth.
him.
You
Yeah,
told the truth, right?
told the truth. So nobody, there was no foul. But for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we were in Sports Illustrated, we were in, Times, everywhere. And it was hysterical, but it launched us because that gave us the initial run of orders, which then we could use to build on. And we sort of went at the razor business a bit different because we weren't trying to just sell razors. We were looking at razors as sort of a tripwire. We wanted the skincare. We had shave cream, aftershave. We had all kinds of skincare products for men
Gotcha.
and women. That's what we really wanted. The razors, to us, we didn't care if we broke even on selling razors. So, because that was attractive, everybody shaves, right? Everybody wants a good shave. Everybody's looking for a new razor. So that was really the driver there. But yeah, so I tell everybody, every entrepreneur that I coach, that I meet, that I talk to, I always say two things. Try and find a customer to buy your product. Before you start thinking about raising money, before you start thinking about anything else, find a customer who wants to buy your product. And the second thing, figure out a way that's creative to get your message out rather than just running ads or doing that type of stuff, because ads are getting, you're going to get thrown into the clutter of all those ads. Right? If you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
distinguish yourself, you can do something really crazy, not harmful, but really crazy to get out there and get into people's mind, and where they go, "Oh my God." So there was another razor company that did it too, Dollar Shave Club. They did that video, and it
That's right.
boomed. It was huge. So it was, that type of stuff, I think, is, you have to be a bit creative and a bit kooky, but you have to always think about, how am I going to get my message out in a way that's really going to resonate.
Yeah, well, let's dive into that a little bit, Phil, because I find this really, really interesting, right? Like, you pull this PR sort of stunt. How can brands do that in this day and age, right? Without looking like they're trying to do that,
Well,
right?
you
How do you get out there and actually create a campaign like that, or something that is actually going to create word of mouth? Like, let's use like I'd love to just do this as like a thought experiment, right? So let's go with one of my brands. So let's go with Little and Lively. It's a baby and kids clothing company. What do you do to create that kind of buzz for a company like that? Because I love the idea, but I think a lot of people are probably like, well, what do I do? Like what's going to catch on? What do people care about? How am I going to get all this free publicity?
Well, you have to. I think you have to come up with a shtick. You have to come up with some sort of a stunt that's really, that you want the stunt to be fun and funny, not harmful or s- or childish, right? Or
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
Like, if you could talk about. So, for example, if you were saying, "Hey, we have the most comfortable clothes for babies," right?
Yeah.
Something that everybody wants. You could actually create large size and make them look like baby clothes and stick a bunch of people in them and have them walk around, just, sort of for fun. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we
Yeah. Yeah.
and brand them or something silly like that. Or, you could go to the old Joe Namath, back in the 70s when he wore the legs nylons, right? My legs are so important to me that I want to take care of them, and I put them in nylon. It's
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. You just have to be creative with and understand who your target customer is and what they're going to want. But it can't be viewed as stupid. Like, I look at some
Yes.
of these commercials where there's the t-shirt one where the guy slaps the other guy, and okay, maybe your t-shirts are good, but I don't think slapping the other guy is really funny, or is it going to get the attention to do anything, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to, you got to think about it. You got to think creatively. You get into a room with a bunch of people that work with you, and you come up with some sort of, what can we do that's sort of funny that people are going to view as hysterical. And then you do it in
Yeah.
a populous area, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so from there, what happens? Like, where do people like, there's a lot of people that are listening to this that are bootstrapping, they're in the kind of mid seven figures, just trying to figure all this kind of stuff out. where do they go if they can't hire a PR firm, or like what's the next step for them?
Well, I mean, look, PR is just outreach, right? So if you're if you can't hire a PR firm, and we still do it, there's nothing that says you can't start outreaching to the reporters yourself or the news channels yourself, right?
Yeah,
You can anybody can get an email address these days, and you say, hey, look, 9 times out of 10, if all it takes is one or two good ones. I think the PR firm hit Radar Online and TMZ first, and once it hit there, forget it. They didn't have to do anything else. Everybody
so then
started
everyone else
coming.
just picks it up, right?
Everybody else just picked it up.
Yeah,
Press releases don't really do it. You have to. It's more of a conversation. It's more of a direct email. Hey, this is what we did. We're in discussions with Brian Wilson to shave his beard for $1 million. That's press worthy, right? They go,
yeah,
that's funny. Like, you're
yeah,
going to pay a
yeah,
guy $1 million to shave with your razor, right? They
yeah.
want to know the story, so they're going to call you back.
Brian Wilson's an interesting one too, because not only is Brian Wilson that pitcher that was a very, like, I think I guess famous is the right word, but like infamous as well, just like the way that he was. But also Brian Wilson is a Beach Boy,
Yeah,
right? Like a different Brian Wilson. So you're gonna have all of that knock on effect as people are searching up people like that, right? And that's yeah. There's just an interesting yeah. There's some other interesting things in there. Phil, it's 2023 now. The era of super cheap Facebook ads are done, right? That's done. The era of gaming the system on Amazon, that's done, right? I feel like we're kind of entering a phase where you know legit businesses need to rise up, right? And we need to get our marketing right and really figure this out without just gaming the system. Like we've been able to do a lot of fun tactical kind of things to grow businesses over the years. And I think we're getting more into strategies. What are you seeing over, we're both marketing dudes. What are you seeing over on your side to help your brands grow?
I, it comes down to really creativity and understanding the brand. We spend a lot of time really thinking about it. We have one we have one company that's a client that's in a very boring industry a segment of construction. And they came to us because they wanted us to run ads to help them get employment because they were running low on drivers for their trucks and things like that. And we started doing that, but it blossomed into other things because we started really doing some fun sort of quick video clips to tap into the ASMR trend on videos on reels, right? For
Okay.
some reason, people love the pouring of concrete and the smoothing of concrete, right? They love it. I don't know
Oh,
why.
that'd be so good for ASMR. Totally.
They love it. So yeah, and so you take in these videos of just the concrete flowing down and the guys smoothing the concrete, and we speed it up, we slow it down, we add music to it. It's 45 seconds of just and it's attracted attention, and it's really sort of so everybody said, okay, well, that's great, that you can do that and you can get a lot of views, but how does that translate into sales? Well, the reality is that in the market that they go from, which is pretty much, the East Coast, the contractors see that and the contractors start calling and they wind up getting drivers who think it's fun to work there. And, all of a sudden the whole thing blossoms. So it gets the end result. Sometimes on social media, people have this, I think, a misconception that they're gonna go out there and be able to do tons of money just on social media ads and social media posts. But the reality of it is that social media just supports the brand and gets you in the customer's eye.
Yeah.
And I look at a good one is Duolingo, right? They do all these TikTok videos. They have their Duolingo owl, right? And they make fun videos and they get a lot of views. And now, does that translate into people downloading the app and learning languages? Probably not right away. But when at that point in time, when you and your friends are saying, we're going to go to Italy for, a vacation, all of a sudden now you think, well, let me
Who are
download the
you going to think
Duolingo
of?
app, right?
Totally.
Before anybody else. So the stuff that they're doing, I think sometimes you have to do things on social to stay in the consumer's forefront and form that connection and that bond with them where you're getting across your brand message and you're doing things to get across that brand message, but at the same time, you're giving them some entertainment so that they remember you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What are some other interesting, kind of out of the box ideas? 'Cause, most people who are listening to this podcast they've really been able to grow their business, using Google, Facebook, organic social, those types of activities, which are awesome. And they've done a great job of doing that. But I feel like we are entering a phase where we need to start thinking bigger, right?
Yeah.
Really thinking bigger. And it's not just thinking some system. What else do you got for us, Phil? You've got so much wisdom over the years. I want to know what else you got for our people.
I wouldn't say I have that. I wouldn't say I have so much wisdom. And what we do, you're 100% right. You have to do Google ads. You have to do Google shopping ads. If you're a product company, you've got to do Amazon
Absolutely.
ads. You've got to do all these things. That sort of lays your foundation. But then when you start to analyze what's happening and what people get reacted to, what people have reacted to on your ads. And again, video ads, I think 10 to 1 work much better than static image ads. We've almost gotten almost fully away from static image ads just because of it's very different. People don't really, I think they scroll by. But we look at what they like and then we sort of play off it. And the other thing I'll tell you that we do, we have, we've been using AI just like everybody else does. We use it to build content. We use it to do all kinds of things. Sometimes we just use it. I mean, because when you think about the business we're in, right? We have clients that are in, food and in clothing, in fashion and in beauty and all these different categories. And it's very difficult for us all to try and figure out messaging for all of that sometimes. You hit a wall sometimes with your thought.
Yeah.
So where AI comes in handy is sometimes we just plug in to a chat. We'll go, give us some ideas on how we can, talk to the customer about beauty in a fun and enlightening way. And all of a sudden it'll just give us 20 different things. And you start thinking about it and then you go deeper with it. You'll ask more questions, more questions, more questions. Next thing you know, chat just came up with a great idea to do, it actually just gave us a great idea for a home decor product that we also have a client for that we didn't even think of. And I think it's going to do quite well, but it's a really fun idea to do with, scrolling and colors on the ad. So
I mean, I found massive use cases in this brainstorming iteration kind of space, right? Where you're like, I just need like 100 ideas right now. And and I think that's when humans step in and is like, oh, you can see like the highlight on one of them. That's the one. And we need to tweak it just a little bit here. I mean, I'm even thinking about your PR idea. Like, just create a prompt for it in ChatGPT, use one of the plugins, use GPT-4, use one of the plugins that's going to go and look at your website, right? I forget which one they've got now on GPT-4 that will actually go in and look at your website and then just give me 30 PR ideas, right? Give me 30 out of the box PR ideas. I'll bet you one of them will absolutely hit, right?
yeah,
So we couldn't do this years. Like 1 year ago, Phil, we couldn't do any of this stuff. We had to like think about it on our own and we're not all good brainstormers.
no, no. And I think too often people are looking at AI products, whether you're using Chat GPT directly or a product like a Jasper or something like that. You know, people are looking at that to give them the absolute final solution. And it's not. When you can iterate, when you can start using it to brainstorm, when you can use it to give you ideas, that's where the power comes from. Trying to
Yeah.
sit there and create the absolute final fundamental product, I think is the wrong approach. We use it more as a tool, as a brainstorming tool. Certainly we use it to build content and build posts and things like that that are fun and engaging, but just using it to brainstorm, we probably do that once a day.
Wow. Wow. That's great. And guys, for those of you who are not doing that, just get into the habit of it. It's incredible what comes out. And all of you AI haters out there, most likely you haven't actually been using the tool
Yeah.
because, people are like, yeah, it's doing math wrong now. And it's like, have you ever used this tool
Yeah.
before? Also, you tell me what like 73 times 73 is, okay?
I got a calculator for that. I don't need AI to tell me to tell me basic mathematics, but it is
Yeah.
funny. I read a lot of posts and discussions about it on, various platforms, whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's Reddit or so. And it's true. You read the misconceptions about AI and what it's doing and what you use it for. And I shake my head sometimes because, it is a fun tool. And I can't personally, we've been using it for probably, almost a year now, and I can't live without it. I can't live without Grammarly and AI, and I can't live without. There's another tool that we use to put subtitles on videos, and
Oh, awesome.
it works like a charm. Those three tools is what I can't live without.
And podcast people, if you're listening to this, Riverside is incredible for all of this too. They have just incredible AI tools built in that like
Yeah,
actually will take each one of the top clips from this and using AI, they just go in and find these clips. They'll find 5 with Phil and I, and they're just gold. Every time I'm like, oh, I couldn't even get my assistants to find these good clips. So this is just a new world that we're living in here. Phil, let's look into the crystal ball. We're looking a year from now. What do things look like in e-com, in the general economy? Where are you seeing that we're headed right now?
yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think ecom is definitely continuing to grow, right? We know this because we see what's happening with stores and with retail, and it really, when you look at the numbers before COVID, the percentage of penetration for different categories on ecom versus brick and mortar, it was still, even though e-commerce is big and has been big for a while, it barely scratching the surface over brick and mortar, but it's continued to grow at an accelerated pace. So I do think that, obviously e-commerce is going to just continue to grow. The problem I see down the pipe is, and the problem we struggle with today is with costs, shipping costs, especially pick,
Yeah.
pack, and ship costs. Even Amazon is struggling with shipping costs, and that's why they've implemented that. You save if you pick it up at various locations, whether it's a Kohl's or whatever. And so I think shipping is just going to continue to be a problem until somebody figures out, a technology solution for it, whether it's if drones happen, or if I think one of the pizza chains is working with autonomous driver vehicles that are just, until somebody figures that out where we can get costs out, because the customer is not going to continue to live with just pushing more and more costs onto them in the term
Yeah.
of in terms of raising prices. Amazon just implemented a silly fee, 2% on all seller fulfilled Prime orders. So if I'm fulfilling my own orders, I'm paying my 15% to Amazon for my listing fee. Plus now I'm paying them 2% for my fulfillment that I'm fulfilling. And I don't understand it. It drove me crazy. I read what they sent me, and I just, it makes no sense. So, they're
Thanks,
trying to push
Amazon.
everybody into FBA, but FBA is, you have to be very, very careful with FBA to make money.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Phil, I got to ask you the question that I ask everyone who comes on the podcast. What is your secret to scaling?
My secret to scaling is I always think about what I can do off of outside of ads. So whether that be trying to do something in the news, trying to do something in the press, like I talked about, trying to come up with some sort of story. We are big proponents of PR, right? Well, everybody talks about influencers. And I'm going to tell you that is influence. And it doesn't matter where that influence comes from. Influence can
Yeah.
be influence in the press. Influence can be a lot of places. And you don't have to have a PR firm to do it. All you have to have is a way to scrape and get email addresses. Contact a writer. You see somebody writing about a product that you have, maybe that's applicable in men's health, or a product that's applicable here, or start locally. If you're a startup company in a town, start with your local TV stations, and then it snowballs from there. But absolutely use somebody else's influence to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And use their influence and tell good stories.
Yeah, tell good stories. And,
Yeah.
if people latch on. I was watching this morning on one of the news channels that was streaming. I can't remember. It's like NBC Now or something, on streams on YouTube. But there was a woman who has a bakery. She's recovering from, I guess, addictions and things, but she recovered and she has this bakery. But because of her story, the story of redemption, the story of recovery, she's getting press everywhere. I don't know how good the baked goods are. I don't know if they're great, not great, but I'm going to tell you that she went from nothing to $1 million in about a year in sales, just from
Yeah.
telling her story on local news.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's amazing, Phil. That is absolutely amazing. Really appreciate that. I got 3 more questions. I hope that you are ready.
yeah, I'm always ready,
Okay.
born ready.
I knew you would be. Favorite tool or app that you're using these days?
Favorite tool or app?
Yeah.
Jasper AI. And I like it because it has built-in templates for different things that we do. Again, the brand piece, you can put in your brand. It'll scan your site. It gets to know you, get to understand the brand voice, the brand messaging. So when you start using chat or when you start using some of these other pieces, part of it, because chat's built into it, then yeah, but I use it. I use it all day long. So.
That's really good to know. So you use that on top of GPT.
Well, GPT is built into it. So everybody's
Yeah.
using AI, right? So ChatGPT is just the interface in the chat section. So Jasper has chat built into it, and it
Yes.
has brand voice built into it. And then it has all these templates built into it. So I
Cool.
like it because it's got templates for Amazon, templates for product, templates for all these books and all these different things. And you can really go deep.
Cool. Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Second question for you. Favorite podcast or audiobook that you're listening to right now?
My favorite audiobook I have. So there is a woman, Sally Hogshead. I don't know if you have ever heard of her. She's
No,
a
I think I would
marketing
know with that name. So
she's a she's a marketing I think she's a marketing genius. And, let me get you the name. She's got a couple of books, but the most recent one is, she's Fascinate, right? How to fascinate and her, how to make your brand impossible to resist. And her whole point is that you can't be the same as you can't go out there and focus on your competition and be the same as them. You have to be different because if you try to be the
yeah,
same, you're just going to lose. So
yeah.
Sally Hogshead, fascinating, and she has this tool on her website where you can go in and put in some information, and she'll spit out. It'll sort of spit out a foundation of a plan for you. You can go deeper. You can get involved with her, but I love. She's got a bunch of books, but the one Fascinate, I think is a great book.
Cool. Guys, we'll make sure to put all of those things that we talked about today down in the show notes. So links to that book will be down there. Anything that Phil and I have talked about today will be down in the show notes. So remember to check that out there. Phil, last question for you. You just found out you have a year to live. What changes?
If I found out I had a year to live, what changes?
You, yeah.
Oh, I would probably stop working and just my kids. I have four kids in college in different parts around the country, so I think I just spend the last year driving around seeing them on a rotating basis. So with
I
my
don't think
dog.
I've had anybody say that they wouldn't just stop working. You know, it's funny because I love to work. I love to have conversations like this. I love to build things. And yet it's not the point,
Yeah,
like, because once you're faced with your mortality, you're like, oh yeah, wait, that was never the point. This
yeah.
all was doing this for this, right? For this other thing. So
Well, I love to work. I do, and I love what I do, and I've loved it since I was young. And it really drives me. I don't have a day that I don't enjoy it. But I think if my time were finite and I knew it were finite, then there's just no sense in spending it, working. And I'd just travel. Like I said, I'd probably get an RV and drive around the country visiting my kids at college all the way on a rotating basis with the dogs and the wife.
that would be great. That'd be a great last year. I love that. Phil,
It would
thank
be.
you so much. Thank you
Yeah,
so much
thank
for
you.
coming on. Where can people connect with you, follow you, as well as any of the other things that you're up to right now?
My website, philmasiello.com is a good one, crunchgrowth.com, or you can find me on social media at Phil Masiello. So I'm on
Awesome.
everywhere. I'm everywhere.
Awesome. Yeah, you really are, Phil. Well, thank you again so much for your time today.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jordan. I loved it.